And thanks for joining us on KSL today. It's Tuesday, February 25th. I'm Deja Brown.
Welcome on in, everyone. I'm Tamara Vaifanua. Let's go ahead and bring it.
Morning, we have updates in the breaking news we first brought you Monday morning after a body was found in a shed in Provo.
We now know the ex-boyfriend of a missing Springville woman, the one found inside the shed, has been arrested. More about the skier who died after crashing into a tree at Solitude.
That man was a longtime ski instructor at one of the most acclaimed resorts in the Northeast. Learning new details of a close call for a Utah father after a similar situation played out near Midway.
His son spoke exclusively with news specialist Debbie Worthen about the terrifying situation for both men involved.
And developing now, a man is arrested for a pair of seemingly random attacks against teenage girls who are using public transit. This morning, police in South Florida arrest a man for brazenly trying to kidnap two women in the same day. This video, a gas explosion in Kansas, happened Saturday morning when firefighters say they got a call for a gas odor. Now, once they arrived, they detected the presence of natural gas. They were able to get the owner of a sporting goods store out safely and off of the property. Just 20 seconds later, that building exploded. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
Well, this morning, millions of federal workers are left confused after a midnight deadline passed to respond to an email they got over the weekend asking workers to explain what they accomplished last week.
Billionaire Trump advisor Elon Musk said workers who do not respond would be fired, while some agencies told their employees not to respond. NBC's Alice Barrs in Washington with the latest details. Alice, thank you. In Utah this morning, many federal workers are worried their responses will now be used to terminate their jobs. A statement from the Vatican says that Pope Francis is showing slight improvement in his battle against double pneumonia. In the air for the Utes men's basketball team after head coach Craig Smith resigns before the season is over. Thanks for staying with us. One Wisconsin couple is stepping back in time.
Port Washington, in its early days as a shipping hub and manufacturer, needed a lighthouse, and a lighthouse needed its keeper. Look at this. Some mysterious messages from the ancient past may eventually be uncovered.
Scientists in Norway have been taking a close look at the oldest dated runestone, which was discovered. Seeing some heavy delays building I-15 southbound. This is on your approach to 5600 south in the Roy area. We're seeing those southbound lanes packed. We'll get to that in just a bit, but I do want to tell you about the congestion that we're seeing. We have multiple accidents along this stretch southbound. We have one at 5600 south. We have another at Riverdale Road. So that, coupled with some pavement issues that we are seeing, is making for a very slow commute right now, about 15 minutes through the backups. So keep that in mind as you're heading out the door. You are also going to see a crash if you're traveling near 24th Street and Lincoln Avenue. That whole right lane is closed right now, so keep that in mind as you're starting that morning drive. Lori. Seeing some major problems brewing right now. I-15 southbound. The on-ramp to the southbound lanes at Parish Lane is currently shut down in the Centerville area. We are seeing emergency crews as well as an EMT on scene. So we're going to get you some more information. So keep in mind, you may see some issues here. But again, the southbound on-ramp is currently shut down at Parish Lane. Do want to give you a heads up, too, for Weber County drivers. We're seeing heavy delays this morning because of some congestion that's happening southbound along I-15 near Roy. That's because of some pavement damage at 56 South in the Roy area. So as you travel into Ogden this morning, you will be pumping the brakes if you take I-15 southbound. Your best alternate is going to be the West Davis Highway, I-84, or SR-126. If you want to avoid delays completely, maybe take public transit this morning because we are expecting these delays to continue well into the morning commute. Right now, this is the I-15 northbound on-ramp at Parish Lane. It is currently shut down due to a crash that is on the on-ramp there. We're seeing emergency crews. We're seeing the tow truck that is finally here, but also seeing some emergency vehicles like EMTs and multiple police vehicles. So you're going to need to find an alternate route as you travel northbound. Let's talk about on the southbound side. There we are seeing some major delays as well. Looks like my clicker may not be working, but as you travel through Weber County this morning, there we go. We are going to start seeing some major congestion because of multiple crashes. We have an early one at Riverdale Road, but we're also dealing with the congestion of some pavement work that's happening at 5600 South. So keep in mind, you're going to see heavy delays as you travel into Ogden this morning. SR-126, the West Davis Highway, or I-84 are going to be your best alternates. Been dealing with traffic issues since earlier this morning. The I-15 northbound on-ramp at Parish Lane looks like it still remains shut down as crews work to clear a crash on the on-ramp there. Keep in mind, you will need to use an alternate if you're trying to head in the northbound direction. Take a look at this southbound. This is I-15 southbound near Riverdale Road, and we are seeing traffic moving at a snail's pace because we're dealing with some heavy congestion traveling into the Ogden area because of some pavement damage that's happening near 56 South. Also dealing with a crash if you're traveling near the intersection of 24th Street and Lincoln Avenue. That has your right lane blocked, and we're seeing some congestion building on the approach. So the big story this morning, as you travel through Weber and Davis counties, you will see a lot of congestion in the southbound lanes of I-15. A little bit of good news for you. Looks like we have our camera here that just changed drastically. But the I-15 northbound on-ramp at Parish Lane has reopened after an earlier crash, so that is the good news. We are seeing some congestion, though, of course, in the southbound lanes. I do want to give you a heads up if you're traveling through the Taylorsville area. There are some traffic lights that are flashing red in all directions at 54th South and near the area of 2700 West. So treat the area as a four-way stop and just expect some delays as the morning commute continues. As we travel I-15 northbound, speeds have returned to normal on the northbound side, but we're still dealing with some congestion southbound through Roy because of that congestion that we're seeing. So don't forget that's because of that I-15 southbound lane that is closed right now due to some pavement work that's happening along I-15 in the Roy area. So you have a right lane closed and we're seeing heavy delays on the approach. Your best alternates this morning as UDOT continues working are going to be SR 126, I-84 or the West Davis Highway, or just consider taking public transit this morning because we are seeing those delays extending back into the Riverdale area with speeds under 10 miles per hour. From a performance of the iconic Wicked song in a way you've never seen it before to an iconic childhood candy made a little messier. Here's what's buzzing this morning. Well known this morning, a family breathing a sigh of relief after their cat, missing for several weeks, was found in an unlikely place inside a couch shipped cross country. Much. Well, we are seeing some congestion building and we're seeing some emergency crews kind of off to the shoulder I-15 southbound near 23rd South in the Sunset area. Not causing you any major congestion along this stretch, but just something to keep in mind as you're heading out the door. Taking a look at the map, I-84 looking relatively quiet. This is going to be one of your best alternates this morning because of the congestion that we're seeing I-15 southbound as you make that approach to 56 South in Roy. Taking a look at your drive times, Hillfield to Beck Street, 17 minutes, 21 minutes as you travel between Kaysville and I-80 eastbound, 42 minutes right now between Ogden and Salt Lake City, and that's because of that congestion that we're seeing. So make sure you're giving yourself some extra time and planning ahead. Check of your traffic this morning. The big story is going to be I-15 southbound because of a right lane closure at 5600 South. There is some pavement damage there, and it's causing a right lane closure. And take a look at the delays. Delays right now well into the Riverdale area. So as you travel southbound from the Ogden area to Salt Lake City, it's a 46-minute ride. So plan ahead. Take your best alternates, SR 126, the West Davis Highway, I-84, or just take public transit because it will be an issue this morning. Matt?